So far, we've been looking at equations and we were asked to find maximums and minimums, finding the vertex. And we did that using negative b over 2a or the vertex form, pulling that information out. Sometimes it's not going to be nice and neat, so I do want to show you how you can do this with a graphing calculator. We're also going to identify whether we have a maximum or minimum, and then we're going to identify what that vertex is. So whatever our vertex is, well, if it's a maximum or minimum, we're going to enter that point as an ordered pair. And if we need to, we're going to round to the nearest hundredth. And then we're also going to talk about the zeros of the equation. Now, we haven't talked about this a whole lot yet. The zeros are where the graph crosses the x-axis. It's where the y has a value of 0. These are sometimes called roots or solutions. And we will be working in depth on these for the next 2 chapters when we talk about different ways besides using the graphing calculator to find them. But I just want to make that connection right now when I'm showing you how to find your vertex and identify if it's a maximum or minimum on a graphing calculator. We'll also look at the zeros. So I need to enter this equation into my graphing calculator. So let me get my graphing calculator. And anytime we want to enter an equation, we're going to press the y equals button, which is at the top left under the screen. And I've already entered my equation, 3x squared plus 5x minus 6. To see what this graph looks like, I press the graph button, which is at the top right under the screen. And it draws a picture of my graph. And from the way it looks, I can tell that I have a minimum. I would have been able to tell that from this 3 because it's positive. It would have been opening up. But I have a minimum. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And to find this minimum value, the process is going to be the same as if we're finding the zeros. And this is what students have the hardest time with. So we need to calculate, and the calculator is going to calculate that. Since it's written in blue, I'm going to press second and the trace button. And we've already identified that we have a minimum, so we're going to choose minimum. So I can arrow down and press enter at minimum. Now, this is the part where students have the hardest trouble. My minimum value is going to be down here. Let me see if I can mark it. This is where my minimum is. All right, this blinking cursor, the calculator is telling me to put the cursor on the left side of this minimum. So if this is where my minimum is, my left side is somewhere over here. So I'm going to move that cursor using these arrow buttons until I get to the left side of that vertex. Anywhere on the left side will work. And I'm going to press enter. And on my calculator, it draws this little line. It also has this arrow at the top saying, I'm going to start looking here and continue until you tell me to stop. So again, here's my vertex, here's my minimum point. The calculator now is asking me to put the cursor on the right side. So that means I need to put this cursor on this side. So I'm going to keep pressing my arrow over until I get to that side of my vertex. And again, anywhere over here will work as long as it's on the right side. I'm going to press enter, and now it has sectioned off my graph, starting here, going to here, and it's going to be looking for that lowest point. I don't know why the calculator has guess. We're just going to always skip that, press enter one more time, and the calculator will tell me that I have a minimum value at negative 0.83, and I'm rounding that to the nearest hundredth. And then my y value is negative 8.08. So I'm going to type those numbers in. And now that I have that minimum point entered in, I need to work on finding the zeros of the equation. And again, as I said before, the zeros are where my graph crosses the x-axis. So I actually have two zeros. One of them's here, and one of them is over here. I'm going to go through the same steps with the graphing calculator, telling it the left and the right side, but I have to do each one separately. And I think that's one problem that a lot of students have. So I'm going to first start and try to have the calculator tell me what this zero is, and then I'll do the second one later. So I go back into second trace. This time I'm looking for a zero. Right, so I choose the zero, and once again the calculator says put your cursor on the left side of this zero. So I have to be somewhere over here on the left. So I'm going to keep pressing my left arrow button until I get to the left side of that zero. Right, now I'm going to press enter. The calculator says go to the right side. And I just need to be on the right side of this one, but I can't go past my other zero, or the calculator is going to have a problem. So now I'm on the right side. I press enter. The calculator has this zero sectioned. There's only one spot in there that the calculator, the graph, has a value of 0. So I press enter, and it tells me my 0. And again, the y has to have a value of 0. So I don't need the y value. I just need this negative 2.47. And now I need to work on my other 0. So I'm going to erase this one. And I want to work on this 0 over here. So I'm going to go through those same steps. Second trace, I want the 0, which is option number 2. Put my cursor on the left. So again, this is the left side. Here's my value, here's my 0. I need to be on the left side, so I need to be over here. I'm going to just press enter down here. Now I keep moving until I get to the right side, so I'm going to pass that 0. Press enter again. It has it sectioned off. There's a 0 somewhere in between there. And this time it tells me my 0 value is at 0.81. All right, so I need to enter those, separating them with a comma. And now that I have all of the information entered, I am ready to check my answer. And I have it correct. We will look at one more example. All right, this question has the same directions as before, so I need to enter this into my calculator. So I go to y equals, and I've already entered my equation. So now I can press graph. And looking at the graph, I can tell that I have a maximum because it's opening down. Also, I could have told that from before. So I'm going to choose maximum, and I need to pick that or find that maximum value. So I'm going to go through those steps. Second, trace my maximum, which is option number 4. You can always arrow down and press enter, or you can just shortcut to it. Now, my vertex, and that point's pretty close to my vertex, so I want to move it to the left, so I make sure that I'm on the left side. I'm going to press enter, then make sure that I am clearly on the right side, so I'm over there. I'm going to press enter, and then enter one more time. And this example tells me that my vertex is at 0.17, and I have a y value of negative 5.83. Right, so I'm going to enter that information in. And now that I have entered that vertex, that maximum point, I'm going to work on my zeros. And as I said before, the zeros are where your graph crosses the x-axis. But this graph has a vertex that's below the x-axis and it goes down. So this graph never crosses the x-axis, which means there are no real zeros for this equation. So that's the option that I'm going to choose. And then when I check my answer, I have it correct. Hopefully this video helps. Again, the hardest part is finding the left and the right side. So as long as you have the cursors in the right spot, the calculator will return the right value. You have to find each of the zeros separately. You cannot do them at the same time. So feel free to rewatch this video as many times as you need, and if you have more questions, ask me in class.